Hello and welcome back to Ride Rescue. In this episode, now that I have the dash all painted in the last episode, I've decided that the dash is just too shiny. I don't want to be driving it with all that glare and reflection from the sun. So I want to knock this gloss off. Plus, with the high gloss, it has a tendency to kind of take on some different color tones that doesn't quite match with the interior. And I've experimented with an area on the dash that wasn't really showing where I could knock the gloss off and it completely changes the tone of the color and it looks exactly like the door panels and the inserts that are in the seats. So I'm really excited to knock off that shine and match everything so much better, and then I can take the gloss off of the center speaker cover. It doesn't quite fit right, so I've got to make some adjustments to that. And then the little defrosters. The little defroster covers are meant for the padded dash. They weren't intended to be on just a metal dash, but I want to make sure those parts match the padded dash so that once I get the padded dash restored, then those can go on and hopefully, I'm sure it will, because I have a little piece of the other dash that I took off on the underneath side where it hasn't had a chance to get discolored. I don't think it's changed the color much. It's an exact match. So I'm really excited about how all of this has come together. So now once I get all the shine off, it's just a matter of installing it, and I'm really close to getting this car out on the road. I was trying to decide whether to leave this high gloss or knock the shine off. I put one of the pieces that actually overlaps the corners of the dash, and this is kind of a satin finish, and I want to kind of tie it all in together. I don't want to have it obvious this has a new paint job with that high gloss. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with 1000 grit sandpaper on a sanding block. I'll knock it all down smooth, and I'll go over it with a 1200 grit or a 2000 grit sandpaper. And then I have these sanding pads, which is a 3000 grit and a 5000 grit. And the 5000 grit, once it's finished, should match the same finish that's on the other older pieces. The nice thing about the 5000 grit is I could hit this with a buffer or just with a buffing pad and some wax, and I could bring it right back up to a full gloss. But we'll give this a shot and we'll see how it works out. Unlike the modern clear coats, the single stage paint that I used on this is much harder finish. I used a hard end as well. It takes a lot more work and a lot more time to sand on acrylic with a hardener, but it's doing a good job getting there. I put this finish on pretty thin with my little detail gun, and I'm having to be really careful because it doesn't take much at all on these edges to just go right through. And you see a little bit of a thin spot right here. Now if this was a showpiece, I would just go back to sanding this whole thing with 400 grit sandpaper and give it another coat. But this interior and the rest of the dash, I'm keeping all 100% original. And there's a lot of flaws, and there's actually areas on panels that meet up with it that have been rubbed through over the years. So that kind of ties into the whole theme and the style of having this car with the old patina. So that can actually add a little more of a classic original look just by having worn marks on this dashboard. So rather than being real concerned and worried about going through, I'm actually looking forward to having a few spots like that. Now that I have that all knocked down with 1000 grit, I'm going to switch to 2000. With 2000, I don't have to spend as much time on it. I just want to take out the sand scratch and just smoothen it out a little bit more. Now we're going to the 2500. So the 2500 or 3000. I think this was 3000. The markings on the back of it has disappeared. And the 5000. You can see now it still has a sheen to it with that 5000 grit sandpaper. You can see the difference in the speaker area where I didn't sand it at all, and it's great how it changes the color. It mutes the color and it looks almost identical to the padded dash and the dark areas in the seat. So it worked out really good. But a happy accident. You can see where I rubbed through right there. And there's a couple little areas. There's a little bit of a rub further through on the front, and just some spots here and there where it got kind of thin. For what I'm doing with this car, that's actually a good thing. So it gives it that old hand-rubbed character. So this worked out better than I expected. So this is a section, a little piece off of the padded dash. Once I knocked off the sheen, that color looks really close, really good. And again, this dash is hopefully is just a temporary thing, so I'm going through all this work as a temporary fix for the padded dash that is shrunken and cracked. Eventually, we'll put the original padded dash back on and have it restored. It's a little over $1,000 to restore a padded dash, and it takes a couple of years. The backlog is so huge. So for now, this is a great alternative. The speaker isn't padded, so I'll be able to just knock the shine off of the speaker cover, and that'll be a perfect match with the padded dash. And then the two defroster grills, I'm just going to use some steel wool because it has a texture, and it's the same thing like the texture on the padded dash. So when I knock the shine off of this, they'll also match the padded dash. So, very good. I'm pretty excited. Doesn't take much with the steel wool to knock that shine off. Cuts it down really fast. I really don't want to rub through these pieces. Just want to knock off the shine. Perfect. To my surprise, when I put the old speaker in and turned on the the radio, it actually worked. It doesn't work very good. The speaker that was the original speaker just completely fell apart from age. It just dried out, cracked, and fell apart. I had this old speaker just lying around in the shop, and it sounds pretty good for an AM radio, so I'll just use that for now. Someday maybe I'll upgrade the whole system, but this will work just fine. Couldn't figure out why the speaker wasn't sitting down in there like it should. It's raised for the padded dash. It has some spacers on it. So hopefully I can get those spacers off. It looks like it's part of the screw. So I might have to come up with a different mounting system to be able to use this speaker temporarily. The risers are a threaded sleeve that actually threads on, and it holds the clip that holds the carriage bolt. So it's going to be a little tricky to work without it, but I can make it work. I just have to take each one of these clips and carriage bolts out and then remove the sleeve and then fish it all back through. Well, rather than bore you with the details of that, once I got all the brackets off of those long threaded studs, they were pretty tough to get everything to line up and stay put and balance without having the keepers on there, but I was able to make it work. I have a cheap speaker in there, but for an AM radio, sounds good. And put the little defroster grills on. It's ready to go back in the car. Thanks again for watching my channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe, give me a like, leave me a comment. I love to hear from you.